Well, good afternoon, everyone. And if you've been paying attention or watched some of our previous discussions, is really about that time in life when you get to define what your life looks like. For a lot of us, it comes at what's traditionally called retirement, but it can come at any time of your life. We are so glad, along with our regular cast of characters here, John Fassnacht and Jeff Cornwall, to welcome Jeff Pickering, who's coming to us today from just outside Dallas to be part of our conversation. So one thing I'd like to recognize here, I don't know if people can see this on the bottom of all our screens, but we are completely J. We are Jeff and John and Jeff and Joe today. We have been striving for this for so long, and we have
flying J's. Yes,
that's right. There's power here. There is a convergence of energy here that's going to happen because we've achieved this. So we're glad to have you, Jeff. Welcome. Tell us a little about yourself, just very briefly, and to help people orient themselves as to where you are in life and what's going on for you.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in sales most of my life, primarily healthcare sales, and am getting planned to stop working at the end of this year and transition to my next phase. So I think it'll be great to see. I've been watching your podcast and learning from you guys. So hopefully this will be helpful for somebody else.
Excellent. So we'll start right off. We'll dive right in. John has told us that you've seen a retirement coach.
So, I have.
One thing I want to start by saying that how disappointed that you didn't come to us first so we could bat you around like a cat toy. And, instead of
we wouldn't charge him anything.
We wouldn't charge anything, but you've done it. You did it anyways. You went to retirement coach. Love to hear. None of us have done that. I don't think we've done that. Have any of you?
No.
We didn't do that. We kind of suffered through this on our own. So I'd love to know what that person told you or advised you or concluded for you. Give us a sense of that experience.
Yeah, I'll just say that I listened to a podcast maybe a year ago, and I didn't even know retirement coaches existed, and so they said, it might be helpful to find one. And so I think I Googled or something, and one of those services that puts it out, and I think 5 minutes later I got a call. But essentially I was looking for a non-financial retirement coach, right? I mean, I kind of kept that separate. Finances and investments are one thing. I'm looking for more of a lifestyle person. It was interesting in that I got 4 or 5 really quick responses. I'll say one of them was, I'm not sure, maybe more of a personal coach or something, and he was 40 years old and covered in tattoos. I'm like, I'm not sure we are really aligned here. And I ended up going with a guy that was right around my age, maybe a couple of years older, had come from the banking industry, which I know nothing about, but he's living in Palm Springs, living his best life in Palm Springs. And so we set up a time, kind of a, unpaid first hour or so. And we just kind of walked through the thing. He had an assessment that he asked me about everything you can think of in terms of my lifestyle, health, are you exercising, spiritual, family, relationships, all those kind of things, just to get kind of a total picture of who I am and kind of really maybe what I want to do going forward. But I counted on him to help me define some of those things.
Well, what was the big takeaway?
I think the big takeaway was that I need to get more male friends. That I described my friendship circle was primarily driven by my wife, who, has, I quote, been, quote, retired for a couple of years, but even a long time ago, was the kids at school and, hey, I met this woman, let's go out with her husband and stuff like that. So I have a few friends around, but I just haven't consistently nurtured that probably the way that I should. And that was probably the biggest aha for me. I think most of the other stuff seemed to be okay for me, but, trying to find more, male men companionship in some way is, something that I'm looking at.
Are most of your friends because of work, colleagues, people you've met through your work?
I would say some. I would say probably not. I think, again, I would say most of them have come through either being a neighbor, more social, so probably non-work. I think everybody I work, nobody lives here where I work. We're a company based out of the East Coast. And so I travel all over the country. And so most people are scattered hither and yon. So they're either old neighbors or people that I've known for maybe even 30 years from, again, kids growing up together and my wife playing card games and saying, hey, we like this couple, let's get together with them or something. So that's primarily where it
Did he
surfaced.
give any strategies on how to find friends?
He did. He gave a
That
couple.
sounds like kind of a monumental task for me.
Well, yeah, it sounds sad too, doesn't it? That
It does. It does.
like, hey, you need some friends, go try to find some friends. He did give me a couple of groups, kind of male groups, and I don't have them written down here, but that you could engage. And I would say it's not unlike what you guys are doing, but not necessarily focused on next phases of life and things like that. So, it are people that would be local and get together once a month and, either at a bar or a place or something. And, just kind of go through those things, share experience, kind of like we're doing here, but folks that wouldn't necessarily be our similar age. They might be, but that was his suggestion.
That's interesting. That one of the things I realized in the last few weeks is I miss hanging around. I was an entrepreneur and I miss hanging around with other entrepreneurs. I've got lots of friends down here, made lots of really good acquaintances. And most of the entrepreneurship groups are for 25, 30-year-olds that are,
Yeah.
Looking for money, making deals. I just want to talk about it. I don't, want to engage in it. And so luckily in this community, you can start groups. I'm in a retirement 55 and up community. And I put out on Facebook, hey, I'm looking to hang out with either retired entrepreneurs or currently active. And what do you think? And so we've got a group of 40 of us now. And,
Oh, wow.
And it's interesting to have that kind of, we've talked before about moving on to something new and something different. But, I think I started to realize I can't give up my past. I can't give up what I was. And so if there's a healthy way to do that without starting another company and getting divorced as a result of starting another company, I thought that, might be a good alternative. But it was hard to find people I had stuff in common with, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, Jeff, you bring that up because what I've kind of found is you got to reach out.
Yeah.
You got to take the initiative and not depend on someone else to take that initiative.
Yeah.
And keep going until you find those that you connect with.
Well,
So
I think for a guy like Jeff, that's easier because I'm assuming as a sales guy, you're an extrovert.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. And so but I did realize I have to reach out and I have to make it happen. You're exactly right, John.
Yeah.
There's two levels of friendship, though, because we can always collect those kind of surface friends, professional relationships. And then I think the real challenge is, especially for guys, we like to just like backslap and, hey, how you doing? But can you find those people who can be deep friends with you and be willing to be transparent and honest and vulnerable? And that's a real tough thing for guys at any age, but then guys who like us who find ourselves removed from one form of life and entering another form of life. I was very deliberate. The story I tell is I gave 1 month after I retired, I gave that month a job, which was to build a network. And in fact, I'm sitting here with John and Jeff Cornwall because I said yes to any contact or any introduction or any networking opportunity. And it's wound up producing some pretty good friendships. I know we're not physically around each other a lot, or at all. I've met Jeff Cornwall once for a couple hours, but it really is something I think you have to be deliberate about.
Yeah.
I kind of leaned on John, as you recall, we used to work together. John Fassnacht and I used to work together, and then we had both migrated away from the company. And John, you probably reached out to me and said, hey, why don't we do a lunch once a month or something? And that was 10, 15 years ago, maybe more. I'm not even sure how long that's been, but that was, I like the cadence of once a month. I like the lunch where it was casual. You pick one time and pay, I'll pick the next time and pay. That was helpful. And so I've done that with at least one, and sometimes another person around here, that we just have this monthly cadence. Again, I like the structure of that. And, you try some new food and get some new places. And it is that level of interaction, Joe, you spoke of, where we've actually known each other for a long time, but, things change. I mean, you look around at your friends, and, all your kids are all in high school, and they're all in college, and they all get married, and they all have babies. You just kind of go through the phases of life with them. So I would say it was something that John probably introduced to me, knowingly or not, but I've continued that.
Yeah. And what was good about that, Jeff, is like you say, there was a structure, but a non-structure. We didn't come with agendas. We just kind of came and shared, hey, what's going on with you? That kind of thing. Maybe there was an issue going on, but over the course, like you say, that cadence built a relationship that got deeper and deeper to share, as Joe, you're suggesting, at a deeper level. So there's a kind of a intentional reoccurrence that needs to happen in order for that relationship to develop and build. By the way, Jeff, I think you still owe me a lunch, because I think I'm short.
I think you're right. You get up here, I'll give it to you.
So have you developed from this coach or by yourself a plan for your retirement, do you think?
It's interesting. In my particular case, I engaged with him last, maybe a year ago or something like that. And I was going through some transitions at work. I was going to get a new boss and some new things happening. And he just kind of said, hey, let's let that happen and see how you feel about that. And if, in fact, you think you're still on track to retire at kind of my projected time. And so we haven't spoken in a bit. It's probably been a year maybe. And we agreed we'd get back this summer to kind of rekindle and just kind of work through where I am now and, kind of what's next.
So, yeah,
well, I guess my question was more about a plan starting January 1st, 2026.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I was probably dodging that, Jeff Cornwall, but yeah. So he gave me a lot of those ideas, a lot of things. My wife volunteers. I'm going to volunteer. Am I going to do this, that, and the other? And a lot of things appeal to me, but I've decided to give myself, I'll sound very businessy, a quarter or so to just kind of see what it is, right? And I don't want to go January 2nd into a volunteer job or something. I like exercise. And so I think I'll increase some of the things I'm doing already and then just begin to see how it feels and hopefully take an inventory and be true with myself. What am I missing? I know that it's going to be hard. I like to engage with people. I like to be in the middle of the conversation, and that's easy to do for me. I find that easy. And so I think I'm going to see how that goes and then see what I need and then begin to seek those things. So that's right now my approach. Well, maybe naive. We'll see.
Well, I'm the anti-planner in the group, and so I think that's brilliant. I think that's
I was going to say that was your endorsement
because you just don't know. I mean, somebody was asking me, did I envision that my retirement would look anything like it does, and not even close. I mean, I had thoughts of what it would be like, but there's so many opportunities you don't even realize yet, and there's so many things that you make assumptions about. I like to golf, and so everybody assumed I'd be golfing 5-6 days a week. I golf less now than I golfed when I was working, because golf was an escape for me from work. And so I'm finding all kinds of other stuff that's interesting I never thought I would. So good for you.
I will add one thing. Excuse me. I will add one thing from the retirement coach that he kind of counseled me on. It's the first response I get from most of neighbors and things like that. What are you going to do all day? Right. And so the response that he gave me, my rejoinder is, I'm not looking to fill 8 hours a day, man. I've done that. Okay. So
I love that.
I'm going to spend a little more time in the gym. I'm going to, catch up on some podcasts or other personal education-y things. I'm going to have lunch. I may take a nap. I'm trying to give myself room for all of those things. But I again, trying to go in eyes wide open. We'll see how successful I am by not trying to plan every minute. I'm not trying to fill the day. I'm not trying to, have a pace that gets me through every day. I'm going to say, hey, maybe things don't happen today. I mean, we'll see.
Hey, Jeff, do you envision that might be hard for you after all the years of following a schedule and following, other people's kind of deadlines and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I do. I think it will be challenging for me. I mean, you know me, you've known me for a long time. So I do think it will be. But again, I'm trying to give myself room. I mean, we'll see again how successful I am. But I don't want to jump into something off the bat and then have to try to back out or something. I'd rather add it at my pace, but we'll see.
What kind of sales did you do in healthcare? Was it medical device or?
It was a lot of sorts of things. I sold devices at some point, mostly services, in terms of services of these days, home health and things like that, where you've got people that, deliver that service. So.
Gotcha.
Well, we're going to ask you a non-business question. So there's
Good,
not a
thank you.
business answer to this.
Okay.
So you're not there yet. You're a few months away. You're still in the middle of this. What was your tipping point? And it's not a professional tipping point. It's like, what was your emotional tipping point where you said, now is the time, I'm ready to do this?
Yeah, I would say that it was maybe a year to a year and a half ago when I was just taking stock of my age. I'll be 67 next month. I just maybe turned 65 or 6 or something, and just kind of thought, how long do I want to do this? I don't really have to continue in this mode. And then also, at work, going through a boss transition started me thinking about it. And honestly, Joe, I found myself mentally, if I'm honest with myself, less invested in long-term conversations. Okay, I think in 27 we're going to do this, and then 28 I'm like, you know what, dude, I don't think I'm even going to be here, and I'm really not that interested, and I can't focus myself to be really to contribute much to that conversation. And I quietly hadn't told anybody, but I could tell those kind of things were going off in my head, and trying to listen to that little voice that says, are you really that interested in that? Do you really want to dig into things? And I could even tell walking into the home office at some point, just through my lens at the time, that this just feels a little different to me, because I'm beginning to, I'm sure there's some clinical term somebody has, that I'm beginning to kind of distance myself from this world, this entity, and didn't totally check out, of course, but I could feel it was different. I don't know if that resonates with you guys or makes sense.
I had one colleague say to me, I was about 6 months before I was finished, and he looked at me and says, "You've got short-termers syndrome right now. Did you realize that?" And I didn't even realize it, but I started to think about it. I thought, yeah, your behavior work changes.
Yeah. I can relate to when I left an organization, a hospital. So not, moving into retirement, but I remember that, it was a hospital that was a part of a group, and the group became more and more corporatized. And I remember walking in one day and looking at the wall by my office where the values were listed. And it was like this big aha that said, oh, those values that we just kind of, brought in internally and just figured is always there. Oh, they're not being manifested the way that we understand them. And so it was kind of like a disassociation, I guess, that occurred that said, you know what, I don't think I belong here anymore.
Mm.
And so the word disassociation, that's
what
I was trying to say.
Just didn't fit anymore.
Wow. So, and did you have any fears? Was there anything you were, or are you still afraid of something beyond that threshold? Because as Jeff pointed out, there's now, and then there's January 1st.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would say just the unknown and how it will resolve itself. Again, trying to give myself time. I do know, and I've said this for a long time, even when I was in my 50s, that, when you get off whatever carousel you're on at this age and you're gone for a year or two, you can't really get back on effectively. And I couldn't, take a year off. My wife has said kiddingly, "Oh, I think you'll be back in a year." That's not really going to happen, not because I'm adamant against it. I don't mind, whatever, consulting or something, but I wouldn't want to get back in the grind. And, professionally, things move quickly, industries move quickly, and things change. And I don't think I could get back in, even if I wanted to. And so that is, to me, a bit of a one-way door. Once you kind of pass through that, you're outside now. You can't get back in the venue. And so, it's just kind of the unknown of, all right, what will I do? How will I continue to learn? How will I find satisfaction at a different pace? I think that's a lot of it too. I'm trying to find a slower pace that makes more sense. And, Wednesday could just be Wednesday.
So oddly enough, I think the antidote to that particular fear is the Jeff Cornwall advocacy, which is don't have a plan. A lot of things that you're afraid of, we've all been there, that you're afraid of actually never come true.
Right.
And they actually work themselves out by not having a plan, but by being kind of open to what comes next. You don't know what's going to come next. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what opportunities, what problems are going to come in front of you. So really the best way to deal with any fear is to just simply not have a plan. It sounds counterintuitive, but I think it's borne out by our experience, certainly.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that you should embrace is how interesting it's going to be to not be a sales guy anymore, because you've been a sales guy most of your career.
Yes.
And so when people ask, who are you? We always define ourselves by that. That was it was a little bit disconcerting at first. I didn't quite know what to say, but it was kind of fun to not really have an answer and just, say, I'm just hanging out and retired. And I gained an appreciation that when I was working, it kind of pissed me off when I'd be golfing with somebody trying to engage in conversation. So, well, what do you do? And I'm retired. Well, what'd you do before you retired? And most of them didn't want to talk about it, but I couldn't understand that. Now I do.
Yeah.
Now I get it. And they said I'm retired with a smile on their face, like they're very proud of the fact that they were in that next stage.
I do take solace in that most of people I've worked with before that are retired now, et cetera, we speak, how's retirement life? I always ask them, it's great. You're going to love it. Almost everybody says that. I heard somebody speaking the other day on something I was watching, and they were saying, when you retire, keep learning. That's really the kind of the key. Keep learning. Keep learning. And so he says, I'd go to a dinner party of people my age and say, what are you a beginner at right now?
Yes.
I love that question.
I know, isn't it great? And so, most people want to keep, if I've been doing this, then I want to keep doing that because I'm comfortable, I'm good at it, I get some reward there, in some way. And, you tear it down now and kind of take your tools and do something new. What are you going to do? What am I going to do new? What am I going to learn? What am I going to do these different things? And that's, it's just unknown. I mean, who knows?
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I love that.
A great place to be, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's unknown. We actually are advocates for that, particularly where you are and even where a lot of us are. It's still great to say, I don't know.
Jeff, I know you as a very caring person, in the organizations that we worked in, really trying to live the values, that kind of thing. So one of the things I guess that I've kind of found is that it's what do you want to do, but it's also what do you really care about? So it's kind of exploring, maybe passions, your own personal passions that, you just haven't had the chance to be able to express because you've been busy, so to speak, but to allow those to come forward as well. I got a buddy who just retired from Ascension here, and he taken the wisdom that you shared, and all the guys have shared. He basically said, for the first 6 months, I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting it come to me, whatever that might be. And so he's ended up going and becoming a master gardener. He's discovered that's something that he really enjoys doing. And he discovered, wow, I can get deeper into this. And so he's in a joyful place.
I love that. I love that. And that's what I've always told people when they sell a company and exit. Take a sabbatical. Take 6 months, 12 months, do nothing, or do nothing business wise and explore other things, or really rest in yourself for a bit and try to kind of figure out what that is. I think that's great advice for retirement too. I didn't do that. I day after retirement, I was full time doing stuff, and that was wrong. I shouldn't have done that.
Interesting.
I'm writing that down, Cornwall. I'm writing that
Yeah,
down.
write that down.
That's the Jeff Cornwall axiom.
So one thing that often needs to come up, doesn't come up as much, is what is your spouse's expectations? This is a change for both of you.
That's a great question, Joe. She's very busy. I mean, I look at her life, and we're both grandparents who love that role. We have 2 local and 3 in Connecticut, and so we engage with them a lot. She's busy. She plays mahjong. She plays cards several times a week. She's going to hot yoga several times a week. She's got friends. I mean, she's living the life. She lunches. She has a good, she's doing very well in that role. She never really worked full time outside the home, which was kind of the way we wanted it. But she's done great. And I think she looks askance a little bit at it, if I'm being honest, of, what's going to be like when that mailbox money stops coming, and what's it going to be like when, you're around here a lot. Well, I work from home as it is. And so I have an office, and just as a quick aside, my dad was an attorney, worked out of their home, and he and my mom would see each other in the morning. She would go do something, he would go do something, came back for lunch, they separate again, came back for dinner or something. And so we kind of do that now a little bit. And so I don't feel like it's, hopefully it's not, hey, Jeff's just sitting on the couch the whole time and he's in my way and things like that. But she kind of half kiddingly says, again, like I said before, I'll give you a year, you'll be back in a year. And
so what are you going to do with that office? What are you going to do with your home office?
Oh, I'm just going to keep it as it is. I mean, this is huge. I mean, just I like podcasts and things. To me, it's just kind of a place to come get away that works. So.
Yeah. So this is really a two-part challenge. So there's the day-to-day, what am I going to do? My wife said to me, are you going to be here every day? That kind of thing. So there's that day-to-day challenge of what your spouse's expectations are. But then there's the larger conversation about what is the shape of our life in this next phase. It could last 20 or 30 years. What are our goals? What do we want to achieve? What kind of satisfaction or life experience do we want to have that's broader and more philosophical than just, what are you doing today? What am I doing today? So have you kind of had that conversation, or is there a sense of how your lives kind of then line up and parallel each other for a little bit?
It's another good question, Joe. I don't say we've sat down. I'll say one thing that the retirement coach challenged me on was a bucket list. And that was very hard for me. I mean, not that I have done everything in the world, but I feel like I've done most of the things I want to do. Neither she nor I really want to travel a lot outside the United States and go to Italy for a month or things like that. It just doesn't appeal to us. We've traveled a lot domestically, and we still like to do that. And we'll maybe pick that up some. But I think that's unclear to us right now, and something that will be interesting to see how that begins to sort itself, into
Jeff C and John F. Answer that question as well. How did that conversation go? How's that?
Yeah, please give me a template.
There is no template, because I'm literally asking you, and I've been retired 2.5 years, and we don't know. We still have to work that out.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in John and Jeff's.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us right now, and I think into the near term, it's family. It's all about family. And that's because we have a daughter who has a single daughter who has a 4-month-old, and we have another daughter who just recently divorced. So right now, our vision, I guess, is for the next whatever period of time, we feel called, and we feel blessed that we're here very locally, and being able to be responsive. And I will say that we don't look at that as a burden or a chore. I mean, we've come to relish the fact that we can be readily available. And it's kind of interesting, because our daughters, once they left high school, we were distanced physically for many, many years. And so now here in kind of this phase of our lives, we're together and we're helpfully together. I mean that in the sense of we're not, everybody loves Raymond's parents knocking on the door saying, hey, what are we having for dinner tonight? We can be of help and we can be enhanced. And again, the blessing of that is we're a part of our granddaughters' lives in an active way, and we'll be, a part of little Theodore's life as well. So, yeah, our universe right now is all about family, and that's okay with us. It feels good for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound very shallow now after that answer.
That's John. He'll put you down. He'll make you
Yeah,
feel
I
like
know. He does that a lot. So, one of the things that happened shortly after I retired is I got sick with cancer and went through treatment, and I think our our life philosophy right now is to have fun and enjoy every day. We're definitely in the life is short mode. We say that to each other a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're having a conversation about should we do this or should we do that or shouldn't we do this, it usually comes down to life is short and this may be the one opportunity to do this. And so if it's something we want to do, we do it. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at philosophically now, I would say. Our grandkids are a little bit older, and so we were there and did a lot of, John, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Before we moved down here to Florida. We were up in Nashville and loved that. But as a grandkid get older, it's oh, hi grandma, hi grandpa, whatever,
It'll be a grunt. How you doing?
Yeah.
that's going to be hard for me.
It's really hard. And but I have to remember what we went through with our kids too, although it's different when they're grandkids. And so in many ways we knew it was time for us. It was a good time for us to come down there because the grandkids were excited. They're going, oh, I can fly down and see you and go to the beach, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's my answer, Joe.
Well, that's interesting because one of the principles we have kind of figured out here is there are no wrong answers, right? So whether John does one thing and Jeff C does one thing and Jeff Pickering does another and Joe does another, it doesn't matter. This is the great freedom of this particular stage in life is there's no wrong answer. You do whatever you want as long as it makes you happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But John's answer sounded a lot better than mine. So.
Yeah, it did, but that works for John.
Well, like you said,
John will go through his hippie phase soon enough.
We're getting very close with the one granddaughter, to where we'll be a pain in the butt. Yeah. It's getting close. Yeah.
There are no wrong answers, right? We agree that whatever you choose to do and whatever you want to make your life about, this is the great gift of this time of life.
Absolutely.
Well, and circumstances sometimes define that for us.
Yes, as you know.
Yeah.
So we have been very permissive in the last 30 minutes or so, allowing everybody to use the R word, which we don't like because
I wondered about that.
As we've said, a broken record. Retirement has such an entropy to it. We're trying to find new words. Some people like graduation. Some people like intermission. We had a guest last month who talked about this being an intermission. Jeff has said, hey, it's a sabbatical in some ways too. So Jeff Pickering, we're really going to press you here. What word makes you happy or comfortable describing this next stage in life?
I think it would be something along the lines of the next chapter, something kind of hackneyed and old, but it is kind of there for me of the next act, the transition, just what's next, and it's you're in a career for 40 years, 45, hard to just totally break free. One of the things you said Joe, that hit me just then is when you said, we can write our own book here. I hate to squander that. I really feel that's precious, and I want to maximize it. Life at the end is the end. And so, a lot of times, as you said, the circumstances are not chosen, and there's either health issues or other issues that you can't really do what you want. I feel like that there's a window here for all of us. And for me, especially, I'm on the cusp of that. And I really, I think I would feel disappointed myself if I didn't leverage that to some degree that's fun and rewarding personally and things like that.
Excellent. Last minute advice for Jeff, guys. What would you tell him here? One great piece of advice.
Something I could put on a throw pillow and just have it right there on one.
It's part of my theme, so it's just a different way of saying it. But I think it's embrace ambiguity, and be okay with no structure, no schedule. Enjoy that.
Spoken like a true entrepreneur.
Yes. Yeah, and mine's not much different. I'd just say, give yourself permission to be instead of always doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would add,
his are always more pithy than mine. It drives me nuts.
So, you have a retirement coach who we hate already because we wish everybody would come to us and we have all the answers. So we kind of hate him, but I got to tell you, at least from my perspective, I think you've gotten some good advice.
Absolutely.
I agree. I agree.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I guess our advice to you would be to push him harder. Are you still seeing him?
I haven't for a bit. It's probably been about a year, but I'm going to re-engage. We agreed to re-engage after.
No, get rid of him. You're going to be.
You guys are my new go-to source.
Yeah, we don't like that. So,
okay,
but what a pleasure to get to know you. You seem incredibly well adjusted, which is great. I think it's to your credit, and certainly wish you the best.
Well, thank you. Let me just say too that when I kind of hooked up again with John, maybe several months ago, he talked about what you guys are doing and the podcast, and I really had not found anything that I thought resonated with me until I saw really that first podcast that was Joe, you and Jeff, and a woman, I forget her name. And I went back to him. I said, John, this is where I want to live. This is perfect. This really speaks to me in a way that made sense. And so I appreciate what you guys are doing. I'm glad to be part of the community. I appreciate the invitation to engage you guys today and get some advice. So thanks again for the time.
We will have you back on in January when you are
there it is.
A bubbling, slobbering wreck of a person. That's what
Do I have to grow a beard, really Joe? I noticed Jeff and John have a beard. Maybe I need to grow a beard to be in the club.
Awesome. So thank you to our listeners as always, and we look forward to our next conversation. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.